Merci beaucoup for everyone for joining us. So guten Tag, good morning. Really happy to be with you. And my part of the presentation is just going to be to level set a little bit about the area of Ohio that we're talking about. So I'm going to pull my, so Cedric, can you confirm that you can see my screen? Okay. Perfect. All right. So this will just be a very short introduction. You're going to get the real meat of this conversation about advanced materials from my colleagues, Paul Boulier, Brian Anderson, and Jay Ferran. But just in case you're not super familiar with our quadrant of Ohio, I'm going to tell you about it. So my organization is called Team NEO. We're a regional economic development entity. And in Ohio, economic development is largely privatized and nonprofit. And so we cover 18 regions, including the cities of Cleveland, Akron, Canton, Youngstown, and Sandusky County. We make up, we're the 15th largest economy in the United States, the sort of Cleveland area. We are 40% of Ohio's economy, and we've got 2 million people in our workforce. So we basically command industrial manufacturing in Ohio, our part of Ohio. I'm going to show you some maps here in case you have a big question mark about where is Ohio. So you can see here, map of the United States. The orange piece here is where we are. We're located in the eastern side of the US in the Eastern time zone, so the same time zone as New York. To drill in a little bit, this is, again, this is where you're hearing us from. We are sort of in the middle of a triangle that goes between New York, Toronto, Chicago, and Columbus, Ohio. So you can kind of see we are really in great position for the US and Canadian populations, which is going to make more sense when you hear the additional presentations. If we look at where an operation in Northeast Ohio can really sort of reach to these populations, the shaded area will show you that it can really help a company with an investment here penetrate the Canadian market, the East Coast, the industrial Midwest, and part of the southern part of the US. So certainly we would say that we're in a strategic location. And our value proposition sort of in general, which you're going to hear more about, is the fact that you're talking to a group of people here that reside within a very strong state economy. Ohio's in a great financial position today. We have a balanced local economy. So we have lots of industries here. We're not relying on just one. And certainly the industries that support advanced materials are at the height of their strength here. I already talked about a strategic location and sort of where we fit on the map. Certainly having a dedicated workforce is key to any operation. Our workforce is really focused on high value production work. So there's lots of engineering and high degree technical work here. And then lastly is the abundance of natural resources. We have a major freshwater lake. So water certainly is available here. Natural gas is relatively cheap, power, broadband, etc. You might want to know what we could do to help you as you'd be looking at a US location. Well, these are probably the 6 main ways, and I can see maybe the type here is a little small. We'll be able to share this deck and talk to all of you more detail if you like, but one of them is going to be free site selection services. So certainly we help companies who are looking to find a home in the US do that through finding them, maybe it's an incubator space, maybe it's office space to rent, lab space, manufacturing space. We certainly can do that, so you don't have to pay for a broker. We do have the ability to offer financial incentives, which I will end with. Talent acquisition, you might want to know how to start an operation in the United States by hiring people. We can help you with that. Industry connections are going to be something you'll hear about through our US clusters here. That's going to be a great way for a company from Europe who's interested in advanced material work to connect to the existing industry. If you'd be looking at manufacturing, there are certain regulatory requirements here the United States has. We can help you figure out how to get the proper permitting. And lastly, and you'll hear more about this tomorrow, but we can introduce you to service providers. So in the United States, it's really important to have access to an attorney, a bank, and accountant, and you're going to hear from 3 examples of those tomorrow. One thing we are especially proud of here in Northeast Ohio is our large amount of international investment. And in fact, European investment is our strongest part of the world that has investments here. We have almost 800 now foreign-owned entities just in our part of Ohio. I had mentioned we have 40% of the state's economy, so certainly that's a lot of companies, a number of foreign consulates, so including the French honorary consulate to help, and a German honorary consulate, certainly if there's work that needs to be done there with expats, lots of language and cultural opportunities. And then on the logistics front, we have a lot of freight forwarders who work between Europe and the United States, foreign trade zones, which makes importation of goods a bit easier. And then last but not least, the Northeast Ohio part of Ohio is the only part of Ohio that has a container port. And we have direct service to Europe. Currently, there's scheduled service from Cleveland to the port of Antwerp. But if there are other ports within Europe that would be interesting to you, certainly we can get on a container ship commodities or actual containers to Europe, from Europe to Cleveland in less than 2 weeks, and avoid some of the backlogs that are at US ports. So please consider the logistical piece of this. And then I'll end with what I think a lot of companies want to know is how can we financially support companies that are looking to come here from outside of the United States. And really there's 4 ways. This is all sort of dependent on what kind of investment your company might be making to look, but certainly we have the ability to offer tax credits to state level tax. The United States has 3 levels of taxation: federal, state, and local. And this tax credit would go towards the state level tax. We have the ability to offer low interest loans for fixed asset investments. We have the ability to offer grants for workforce training, fixed asset investments, and R&D investments. And lastly, we do have a particular program to help with talent acquisition. So getting that first operation or even second operation in the United States started up is certainly a way we can help through an in-kind grant. So I will stop there and just to say thank you for your time, and hopefully that will give you a very quick overview of what Northeast Ohio looks like from a kind of a general perspective. And perhaps, Cedric, I'll turn it back to you for our next presenter.